Today we talk about my favorite topic in astrology, which is about past lives and present lives and what you have to develop in this life. Or if you do not believe in past lives, then you can take it what you come with naturally talented with in this life, what you're born naturally talented, or what you develop naturally in your early age, probably in the first 20 to 30 years in your life, versus what you have to develop later in life. And this is indicated, this most important indication in your horoscope. There is nothing more important in your horoscope than the position of Ketu and Rahu, or as they're known in Western astrology, South Node and North Node of the moon. They're the reason the person incarnates back in the earth, comes back to earth to learn the lesson of these planets, or these points as we call them in astrology. So if you learn what you have to focus on this life, you will have it so much more clearer picture about your path in life and about what's good for you and what you have to let go of. And usually Ketu, or the South Node, will indicate what we were really good in past life with, what we focus in past life, where we feel confident. So usually these, the place where Ketu is placed in our horoscope will show us where we have more natural talent or skill, or where we feel more confident in or we're just better in the first part of life. And Rahu will show us what we have to develop in this life, what we haven't focused in past lives, if you don't believe in past lives, in the early part of your life, and what you will develop later on in life, usually in the second part of life after 35, 40 onwards. So you have a bit of difficulties where Rahu is, in the areas of life where Rahu indicates, because Ketu, you also have some boredom in the house of where Ketu indicates, because it's something you've already learn how to use it, learn how to be good at, so they're not easy positions, but they're very interesting because it will give you such depth of understanding about yourself. And what I want you to go is, I want you to go to my website astrology.com, go to my birth chart calculator, and I want you to, if you know your time of birth, enter it correctly, then you'll be able to see the house positions of Ketu and Rahu, or the South Node and the North Node. And if you don't know your time of birth, then just look at the sign position of Rahu and Ketu. The sign position will be given underneath on the table, where it will say Ketu is in Aries, or Ketu is in Libra, Rahu is always the opposite sign. They're always, the South Node is always opposite the North Node. Because if you have developed something in the past life, the opposite you haven't much developed, And when you get that chart, or if you're using Western chart to get this, but if you're using mine, this is what you're gonna get. For instance, you might get Ketu here, and Rahu will be here in the 10th, 4th sign, 10th sign. But I want you to take a look this time of the house position. You can have the houses are indicated with Roman numericals. So you can have it house 3 and house 4 in the 4th sign together. So basically Ketu will, if the sign is indicated by one of the squares, each square is one sign. And what the sign is, you can see from the table underneath. So you can see which sign Ketu is in, which sign Rahu is in, and you will see that there is also Roman numericals. There is the house cusps that are inside. It's a bit difficult, but I just want you to pay attention to these Roman numericals. So if you have Ketu with the 3rd and 4th house cups, you'll have Rahu with the 9th and 10th house cusp in the opposite. So I would want you to listen the video for which says North Node in 10th house, or North Node in 9th house. Both of these videos, because I'll be indicating them by the position of the North Node, always Rahu in 10th house or Rahu in 9th house. And you will learn what your karmic duties are in this life, what you have to focus on in this life, what you have to learn to let go of, which is Ketu usually. It's really amazing. It's the best part of astrology. What happens if you have your South Node, Ketu, in Sagittarius, Sag, and always Rahu, or the North Node, will be in the opposite sign of Gemini. Let me use a better pen. Gemini in this sign. Or if Rahu is in the 3rd house, house, look for the Roman number. It might not be exactly here, it might be here, the third house, cusp, sometimes it might be here. It's indicated in which square it is by the third house, with which Roman numeral number Rahu is in a little square together, you know. And if Rahu is there, then Ketu will be in the opposite, which is the ninth house. Here it will be indicated like that, or like that. So what happens? We're starting always first from the position of Ketu to see your past, you know, to see either if you don't believe in past life, your early conditioning, so to speak, in natural talents or your past lives. And ninth house of Sagittarius, it has the same vibration, ninth house, and Sagittarius have very similar vibration. The Sagittarius sign is the ninth sign, and the ninth house is of course the ninth house, so they're derived, the house meanings are derived from the signs. So if you have Ketu in the ninth house or Sagittarius, what happens? It means that in a past life you were very much of an ideal person. Ninth house and Sagittarius are the house of the wise person, of spirituality, of philosophy, of all the higher-minded interests, whether it's politics, whether it's philosophy, whether it's esoteric knowledge, even higher knowledge, and ultimately self-knowledge about yourself. That's why spirituality is often grouped together with self-help books, but anything which is more on a high level about higher knowledge, you know, about the workings of the universe, the bigger questions in life, the bigger matters in life, why we're here, what's the purpose of politics, how to help humanity, how let's have some ideologies, philosophies. So these people had plenty of those. Maybe they were part of some philosophical organization in a past life, maybe they were part of some ninth house, also the house of higher institutions like universities, which bring new knowledge, like higher knowledge. That's why it's called higher education, because it brings higher knowledge, not only how to read and write, and practical skills like sewing, but the bigger, more complex ideas about ruling systems and seeing the bigger picture and putting things together. And these people are really great at that. And they're usually either in universities, highly educated in past life, and clergymen, because ninth house is spiritual ideas and religions. Very often these people were spiritual, but not like monks retreated, but more like in the public eye, where they had something to do with law, with giving advice to others, like spiritual gurus as well. Well, not everyone born with this position was a spiritual guru, but they had some position of being the wise person that everyone was going for advice with, and who had very complex ideas about the world and some knowledge about how things work in the world, so they'll go and impart this knowledge. Maybe they were teachers, you know. And in this life, from very young, they are very idealistic usually, or they have a very strong belief system from very young, or they have very strong, even if it's nothing to do with spirituality, very strong goals. Ninth house is your meaning in life, your purpose. That's why it's the Sagittarius symbolizes the ninth house and the ninth sign. Someone with an arrow who has a purpose, you know. And this is the purpose in your life. And usually people have strong purpose when they have self-knowledge, and when they have a very strong self-belief and belief system, you know. So, but what these people have not developed in past life is the opposite house, which is actually practical skill. So they were philosophers, so they have a lot of knowledge from past life, or they have very strong goals and purposes, and they have a feeling of deep meaning and what they have to do. But they haven't developed on actually putting practically these to realization. They were maybe just dreaming about them, philosophizing, teaching them to others. But in this life, you have to develop the third house, which is Rahu, the north node. And third house is practical skills. So if you have a great idea about, I don't know, maybe doing a new alphabet, I don't know, or a new machine, and you were just thinking inside your head and thinking how great it will be if people could use such a device or whatever, or thinking about spiritual ideas, whatever it is, you never put them in practice. And that's what the third house is about. And in this life, it's no longer time. Maybe the first part of your life, the first 20, 30 years, you can still learn and develop this self-knowledge, actually remember it from past life, because you have it within yourself. You remember, you're the wise people of the whole of the horoscope, of the whole of the zodiac. You were usually the gurus, the big brain people from past lives, and inspirational people with mission, people with goals, but you don't have the skills. So it might be a little bit while before you get the courage, because third house also represents one's courage, to put this into fruition. And you have to start focused in this life much more, not so much on philosophical and high learning as much as on technical skills and learning. So third house, so learning the basic things. These are the higher minded things, the big plan, the meaning behind it all of a plan. If you have third house is the different skills that you need to put these together. So these people often in the early part in their life, till 30, 40, they might lack the confidence about their skills and knowledge even. They might have the ideals and the goals and the purpose, but they might feel like, well, I'm not sure if I have enough knowledge. So they try and stay here in the past and gather as much knowledge as possible rather than start applying it. So often these people might go into compensate by learning everything, learning all types of, for instance, if I'm an astrologer and I have this position, I'll learn 20 different types of astrology, and I would overload my mind, and it will become all a jumble, after that, which one to use, so you can't, if such people, as my teacher says, are best if they focus just on one thing, they take one thing, and they start working on it, and in the process of working, things will be revealed to them how to do the rest, But often it's about technical skills, it's about stop trying to have all the information before they jump into making things happen practically. Start trusting their intellectual ability and their skill to implement their goals and ideas. This is very important for you, and this is what you have to develop. And not just wait to get all the knowledge first, And yes, so at some part of your life, you will be focusing more and more here, not on the intuitive, on the higher-minded, on the practical application, on the third house is courage as well, it's technical skills, it's applying something, making something. If this is the vision you have, the idea, and you have third house is getting that idea and actually having the skills. If you see a wooden horse and you want to make a wooden horse, third house is having the skills to, wood carve it and make it happen. So basically, this is the things you have to focus on. Writing skills, it will be very helpful for these people to develop writing skills, third house. Communication skills, they might sometimes feel lacking in communications, because third house is like everyday communications. And they might be often quite tempted to withdraw into high-minded dreaming states, or into the self-study mode. But basically, they have to learn to exchange information with others, to express themselves better. And often such people can even become journalists later on, because the position of Rahu always pulls you towards itself. Even though if you're stuck initially, you're not really good at it, you keep trying there. It's like a magnetic pull on you. So you try and develop skills, technical skills, communicative skills, social skills as well, So these people often pull more and more, and also more mundane skills and knowledge rather than high-minded knowledge, like reading newspapers, like just gathering information, different parts of information, and trying to make something practical out of it rather than just keeping it in your head, So as I said, these people can also have success in media later on in life, in writing, in entertainment as well. But yeah, that's this is third house is skills for painting, anything of the hand, anything that is skill of the hand, painting, drawing, and these people will really benefit if they develop such crafts. That's the word, crafts. taking something together, knitting it, putting it together, painting it. That it's something that will really open doors for them in this life, you know. Well, thank you so much, and give feedback. Tell me what you think.